What's up everyone, not Jason from Thin Line Defense, and today we are starting our micro pistol red dot series. Let's roll. So I want to start off and just say that this series is probably going to extend 6 months or so just to cover all the micro red dots that we can find out on the market right now. So there's going to be 5 main things that we're going to cover in each of these reviews. And then at the end, we'll rank these like we rank our low-vis plate carriers. First, we'll look at installation. Next, we'll look at the form factor. Walsh, what the hell is form factor? Walsh says that's a super fancy way of saying size and shape. Third, we'll take a look at the glass. Fourth, illumination. And I'll try to show this in bright and low light situations as well. And then our fifth thing is going to be kind of an all-encompassing additional features. All right, our first red dot on the chopping block is a Crimson Trace RAD Micro Pro. Totally don't mean that literally. We are not chopping this thing up. So first thing to tackle is the installation. Now, obviously, if you're installing this on some other type of firearm, you're going to need the different screws. For the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, shown here, these are the steps you take. The instructions don't actually say which way to install the battery, so you got to pay attention. Right here, you see the negative sign. Now, honestly, that little dash could mean anything, so I was just kind of praying that that's what that meant. Well, I installed the battery with the negative portion of the battery facing up, and the red dot worked. So I think that's right. Again, the instructions don't say which specific screws work for which firearm. And to be fair, I don't really expect the instructions to say that. Now, I don't know if the cover plate screws are M3 or M4. I just used the longest screws that came with the red dot, and they worked on the Shield Plus. If you have a SIG P365 or a Hellcat and you use these screws and something breaks, please send me a message on Instagram so I can make fun of you. The red dot sits just fine in the space freed up when we remove the cover plate, with some free space front and rear of the sight. Now, some of you, aesthetically, this may bug you. As a reviewer, though, this is awesome. It tells me that there's space to grow. So if we're going to be testing out a bunch of micro red dots on this platform, there's a pretty good chance that they're all going to fit. At least that's what I'm thinking. Now, the Crimson Trace RAD Micro Pro is actually cut to fit the Shield SMS footprint and the J-point footprints. Now, it's pretty cool that they designed it to work with both footprints. And since the Shield Plus has the Shield SMS footprint, this should work just fine. All right, so next we're gonna look at form factor. Size and shape, sorry. Now, I think the RAD Micro Pro is intelligently designed since it sits pretty flush with the slide on the sides, but has a slight angle on either side to give you a wider optic window. I showed this a little previously, but the small profile allows it to easily sit in the optic cut area of the firearm. Now, some of you out there may think that, well, of course, this is a given. The optic is cut for a Shield SMS cut, and the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus has the Shield SMS cut on it. But I think most of us have dealt with companies being wrong. All right, back on the bench, checking out this optic, you'll see no buttons. Now, Crimson Trace has what they call their radiant sensor, which is just an ambient light sensor. Now, we'll see how well this does when we go over the illumination portion, but basically it just means that it has auto brightness. Another feature of this red dot is something prominently talked about on the Crimson Trace website. It is this top strap design. Now, to be fair, I don't know if this is snake oil salesmanship or not. Now, I really do like the look of this optic, but according to Crimson Trace, this little strap is actually engineered a particular way and designed to be this exact shape. According to Crimson Trace, this strap has certain physics crammed into it that ensures if this red dot is dropped, the force is deflected away from the sensitive components. Now, if that is true, that's an awesome engineering feat. That would ensure less stress on the glass if this is ever dropped. I don't mean if they mean only the sight or the sight installed on the gun. I'm gonna guess only the red dot, but who's dropping their red dot? The other feature, based on how it was designed, is that the glass sits a little farther back. This should easily allow you to rack the slide using the red dot without damaging the glass at all. Rounding out our looks department, you see small set screws for windage and elevation, along with a channel that doubles as your rear sight. Now, having this channel here is nice for me. It ensures that you don't need to get suppressor height sights. Now, as you can see, it's not perfect, but it will work, at least on this handgun. All right, our next area is going to be the glass. Now, Crimson Trace says that this glass is multi-coated, but I wasn't able to find on their website where they go into the specifics on which of those coatings make it multi-coated. Not sure how well the camera is going to pick this up, but the glass is pretty clear, although there is a slight blue discoloration near the top of the lens. Now, if you ever notice the blue on the top of your windshield, that's what this looks like to me. Pure speculation on my part, it's probably a similar coating, which would just help with glare from the sun, but I'm really just guessing. I really like the wide field of view with this red dot, and it gives me what seems like instant acquisition while shooting. The red dot seems to be exactly where I want it to be each and every time. Now, that could be just because I've practiced with red dots a lot over the years, or it could be the good construction of this red dot. Maybe it's a little of both. All right, next we're going to take a look at illumination. Now, auto illumination has never been something that's really appealed to me, but maybe that's just because I haven't really had good enough optics to, I don't know, get this right. They never seem to be bright enough when I need them to be bright, and they never seem to get dim enough to be useful when it's dark out. Now, first, I'll show this off in a lighted room, and the red dot seems to be perfect. Once the light is turned off, you see the sensor almost immediately recognize the light difference and adjust almost instantly. Now, the key benefit of auto illumination is you don't have to be fumbling with buttons to be able to use this optic. It should just work. Now, cycling between the light going on and off shows me the auto brightness works just fine. Now, this is fine in a room, but you and I know it's hard to mimic the brightness of the sun inside of a room, so let's head outside. Now, even in bright daylight, the red dot is easy to pick up. The light is bright enough even when the sun is beating down out here. I went on the Crimson Trace website and saw that this is listed as having daylight illumination, so that's kind of an added perk I didn't really know about until I was reviewing this. In the extreme dark of my garage with the lights off, the auto illumination does dim enough that it doesn't cause me pain at the brightness. Now, that might be a small victory, but I think it's a victory nonetheless. All right, now we get into my favorite category, and that is additional features. Really, this is just a catch-all where I throw in all the stuff that didn't quite meet those other four categories. The first thing is the IPX4 water resistance. Now, this just means water resistant from all directions, so you don't have to really worry about splashes. And this is water resistance, not waterproof. And I think this is just fine for your typical EDC. The other thing is the Crimson Trace motion. That just means shake to wake. All right, now what is a review without some negatives? And I do have a couple. The biggest one for me, the bottom access battery. We give Trijicon a lot of hate for having that on their RMR, and for me it just kind of calls into question the zero of the optic. I know companies like Trijicon say it's a no zero guarantee, but just for my own benefit, I would have to go out and zero the gun again. Now, to be fair, almost all of the red dots that we're going to show in this series, with the exception of, I believe, the Hollow Sun, have a bottom-loaded battery. So what are you going to do? Now, it may not be an issue for you. It is for me, though, so there it is. Now, for the next thing, it's not really a pro or a con, but I do want to address the water resistance rating. When every other optic we have lined up is waterproof up to 1 meter, this just doesn't match the industry standard. Again, to be fair, if you are G.I. Joe and you're going to be marching around in the Amazon rainforest and you're going to be going in and out of rivers, this red dot is not for you. It is not waterproof. Now, if you're like me and you want to put this on an EDC and the worst you're going to have to deal with is some rainfall, this is going to be fine for you. Now, one other thing to discuss is the Crimson Trace warranty. Crimson Trace has 2 different lifetime warranties. And I know what you're thinking, because I thought it. 2 different lifetime warranties? Shouldn't a lifetime warranty be a lifetime warranty? It kind of is, so let me explain that. Basically, with some exceptions, any non-electrical product has their complete lifetime warranty. These red dots have what is called the Crimson Trace Protect lifetime warranty. Now, I was confused a little bit by this when I first saw it, so I reached out to Crimson Trace and asked them about it. All right, so the electrical components have a 3-year warranty, but the optic has a lifetime warranty. You confused yet? It's really not that big of a deal. Basically, Crimson Trace wants the consumer to understand that 3 years from now, they may not be able to source the components needed to fix this red dot. Based on what we see in the world today with shortages for electronic components, it's entirely feasible that that might happen. Now, because of that fear of not being able to fix the product 3 years or more from now, the idea is just to send you a replacement optic for whatever closely matches the optic that you have. So, lifetime warranty, but you may not get this exact model back if it breaks 3 years from now. Now, I was told by Crimson Trace that their warranty folks are pretty liberal. If you don't really abuse this thing on your own, you're not smashing it with a hammer, they'll probably just replace the optic for you. Now, as we round out our video, we got to start our list. And I'm happy to say that Crimson Trace is sitting in first place. Although I guess technically that means it's in last place too. But in all honesty, I do really like this red dot. We'll see what some of the other ones that we have going forward, but I think it's going to be kind of hard to beat this one. It has features that I like, that work really well, and the negative of having to deal with the bottom loaded battery, it's something I'll deal with to get the features that this has. But that's it for me, folks. I hope you liked this video, and I hope you enjoyed this series and stick around. I want to say thanks to our Patreons and thanks to our YouTube members. You guys make these types of videos possible, and I'm so grateful for you. And thanks to everyone that likes, comments, and subscribes. Hey, comment down below and let me know which micro red dot you want to check out. All right, guys, I'm out.